in Ottawa, Hillsdale, Paola, Spring Hill over the last 4 days. Lord, be with us tonight as we come together to hear our speaker. We love hearing people's stories, and we love spending time with each other as veterans and their families. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
All right. I think that's what I have for now, so please be seated. Well, my apologies. No, we're good. Sorry, the thing had me going up there. Next slide. I don't have the clicker. So I would like to talk briefly about this. April. So many people know what April is, but April is the month of the military child. So families, yes, people are serving, making a sacrifice, but April is a month focused specifically on remembering the military child. And this is directly from the DOW website. April is Month Military Child, established in 1986 to honor the resilience, sacrifice, and unique experiences of over 1.6 million military children. Celebrated throughout the U.S. and worldwide, it highlights the challenges of frequent relocations, changing schools, family separations, while emphasizing community support and recognition for their strength. So, if you're not afraid, wear purple. We got George and Paula wearing purple tonight. There you go. Thank you. And as we all witnessed, we have some special guests in the house tonight. So we kind of broke a little bit of a tradition here with F.I.S.H, and we did something new. And now I got to figure out how I'm all looped and wrapped and tied up. I don't like being on a leash. So last month, F.I.S.H did something a little different. We met up with our Shawnee Mission North High School, the JROTC program, and they went on a little trip, and we were able to kind of help them out and get them on their way. So it was an honor for us to be able to step in there, so you can see us up there, and we even brought them donuts. How many of y'all enjoyed the donuts? Okay, there we go. So it was just awesome, and if we can go to the next slide. So we helped them get to all the way down to Florida for the national championship, and competing with the top high school JROTC teams across the country, over 600 teams. They finished, what was it, 10th? 10th? You guys finished 10th out of across the country. 10th. Amazing. And I could tell by the precision, the resilience, and the training, and the countless hours that you have all put in, and running through the bleachers for donuts. I mean, I witnessed that. It was amazing. You guys are going all in on that. And so this was just a way for F.I.S.H to be able to help them, because I know there's a lot of people that started their military careers in a high school junior reserve program, and you met one of them there in the gymnasium before y'all left, but just stick with it and keep going forward, because that's how we build that next generation. And so just the little things on how you're folding your clothes, I mean, it's amazing what that'll do for you. So it was an honor for us to be able to help support out a high school this time, and that's all made possible by all of you who generously donate and support F.I.S.H on a regular basis. So thank you for that. And they did bring home some hardware. And then on March 30th, we had an opportunity. There's a long story. I won't go into it about the bench, but World War II Marine Max DeWeese has passed. But I've heard so many stories about what an amazing man he is. And there was a bench that was made for him to kind of highlight his service and what he did. And that was at a golf course, and unfortunately the weather got the best of it, and it was then brought back and down to Florida to be completely refurbished, and it was rededicated. So I didn't have any pictures of it, but if you go to Channel 9 News, you can see the story. They were out there. We were able to rededicate it, and it's in It's in a very sacred place now at the Marine Corps recruiting station in the Max DeWeese room. He has a room named after him, and now his bench is there where it can be looked at and viewed at by new poolies coming in and potential recruits that are starting their career right where he did, at a Marine Corps recruiting station. Coming up, April 18th, that's this Saturday, the Z&M Twisted Vines Wine Run. Don't get excited, y'all aren't old enough. But 5Ks, they're out there. Are sign-ups still available online, or is that closed down? All closed. Well, F.I.S.H will be there. But it's a great event. We've heard Brian Zessinger speak here in the past about his story. But we'll be out there. And then we've got a couple other recurring events. The first and third Wednesday of every month, we do our F.I.S.H Fireside 180 group. It's just a place for veterans, first responders to really get together, kind of a safe place, and just really tap into the gospel and, just healing. Just iron sharpens iron. So that's open to any veterans, first responders. Come on out there. I think we had 25 people out there last night. It was a great time, and a lot of healing took place. And that's down in Gardner. We're also starting up with our Sisters in Arms, a women's group. So it's they have a women's veterans beat up. It is on April 25th at Longhorn Steakhouse in Olathe at 1800 hours. So if you're female, veteran, show up, show some love, and be amongst your sisters. Man, June is going to be amazing. You know that? My calendar's booked. But 13th annual combat golf tournament. Come out. It's a party. Unfortunately, it is sold out. It sells out pretty quick. Might have some special guests out there. It's going to be a great time. And then even following that, our 250th celebration at the Ag City Music Festival. So if you want to take a break in between all the World Cup stuff, it's going to be going on down there. On June 19th and 20th, concerts. We're having the all-veteran group come in. They're going to be flying in the colors. And when I say flying them in, they're jumping. Parachutes, things, if anyone isn't familiar with the all-veteran parachute team. All former and current Golden Knights and Leapfrogs, and they're an amazing group of people. But you can get your tickets online. I know F.I.S.H has shared it on the F.I.S.H Facebook page. They have their own Facebook page. There's just so many places where you can just go and get involved, and it's just a big old concert and party. I can't even do it justice by talking about it for 30 seconds, but there you go. And then last year was the first ever F.I.S.H Veterans Family Campout, because a lot of the stuff that we're doing is about healing and trying to get the people, getting veterans, back in that camaraderie amongst like-minded folks, and just so many of those things. So, we had the idea of healing starts at home, right? With your family. If you're at home, your spouses, your kids. So it's great to be able to go to, all these other support groups, but we decided who doesn't love going outdoors, camping, all sorts of fun stuff. So this is our second annual, and it was a blast last year, and I would encourage anyone who is interested, reach out to me, contact me. I'll be here. Let's talk about it. But swimming pools, hiking, ATVs, trail riding, fishing. Andy loves to fish. I think his daughter brought home the record out of that pond. Oh, okay, I have the video. You took that fish from her. You took it from her. Yeah, he did. Okay, but it's a great time. Everything's covered, food, camping, whatever. It's a party. So, it's really bring your kids, bring your spouse. If you want to drag grandpa out of the house, or you are the grandpa and you want to drag everyone else out of the house, do it. Come on, bring them. But come on out. And here we go. Is this mic on? All right. Think you can hear me, maybe? I don't know. Maybe not as loud. But tonight I have the privilege of introducing Army Staff Sergeant Reed. I've read through her bio several times. We had some time to talk, and it's just really, really cool hearing about some of her stories. And I think she kind of, who was the bet against? That you lost, that you had to speak now, but it's all right. It's easy. I mean, this is my first time ever standing up here. Come on, can't you tell? You're good. What started out as a career as staff sergeant in the Army has landed her. We've got a bunch of great people from Honeywell that come here and support F.I.S.H, and just an amazing network. And I don't want to steal too much of her thunder, but she does a whole bunch of stuff at Honeywell in like words that I can't pronounce. And acronyms that I have no clue what they are, and she tried to like break them out for me, but I really don't want to take too much of her story here, if that's okay, or do you just want me to read it verbatim? No, you don't have to. Okay, see? All right, so if y'all could, please give a warm welcome to Lindsey Reed.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, everybody, especially if I asked you to come and you're here. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. I really, really appreciate it. I'm really nervous. So a few months ago, I was having a conversation with Scott, and I told him that I'd never told my story, and he likes to tell everybody the cool parts of my story, and he was like, wouldn't it be awesome if you told your story? And I said, yeah, sure, no. And so here I am. He said that he would tell his story, and he did that a couple months ago. So this is just my part of the bargain. So thank you for getting me up here, and thank you guys all for being here. So I am an intelligence manager at Honeywell. I love my job. I love the people that work with me. But how did I get here? So I'm going to go into my story. It's a little messy. It's pretty raw and pretty real, but it's me. And if I can help one person by telling my story, then I'm here to share it. So let's get started. So I was adopted when...
Just make sure everybody can hear you.
And if you can't, that's fine. So I was adopted when I was a baby, and my parents were in their 40s when they adopted me. They prayed for a baby, and they waited 10 years, and then they adopted me. My dad was a Baptist preacher, and my mom was a Catholic school principal, and so they were really strict growing up, and not a lot of room for errors. But I had a great childhood, an amazing, amazing family. And when I was 18, I got accepted to the University of Missouri on a full-ride scholarship to play volleyball. And 3 or 4 days after I accepted my scholarship, I found out that I was pregnant. And so I wasn't gonna ruin my life, so I drove to an abortion clinic. I would like to say I am completely pro-life. I was pro-life then. I was really scared. And so the doctor told me, like, you're 30 weeks pregnant, like, you're gonna have a baby in 10 weeks. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna take care of it. And so I drove to Wichita, Kansas, to a late-term abortion clinic. And I filled out the paperwork, and I swiped my parents' credit card, and then they put you in a hotel, because once you make that decision, you have to wait like 8 hours or something. And I called my mom, and I was like, hey, this is where I am, and I have completely messed up, and I don't know what to do. And my parents drove to Wichita from Tipton, which is like a 3-hour drive, and they're like, you can't do this, you can't kill your baby, it's murder, but we're gonna help you. And so they dropped me off at a place for unwed teen moms. Those kind of places still exist. And it was called Highlands Child Placement Center in Raytown, Missouri. And that place actually still exists today, which is kind of cool. I was there for 10 weeks with the intention of giving my baby up for adoption so that it could have a better life, because I'm 18 and like, what am I gonna do with a kid? And then I didn't. I had him and I couldn't walk away, and I thought, I'm gonna figure this out. He's gonna have the best life of any kid. And my parents just had a couple of rules. I had to finish college. There's no crying, because then I'll cry and, okay. My parents had a couple rules. I had to finish college. That was all they cared about. And I couldn't get any help from the government. So no insurance for my kid, no WIC for my kid, no help whatsoever. Like, this was my choice to do, and I had to figure it out. So I got married, because that's the right thing to do, right? My parents are super religious. And so I got married thinking having a partner and doing this with somebody is gonna be way easier than doing it by myself. Except for it wasn't. Looking back now, like, I didn't marry my person. I married somebody like just completely wrong for me. And it didn't take very long to figure out he was super abusive. Psychological, emotional, physical, financial. So I remember a couple of times I was on my way to the store to get some groceries, and I would have like a cart full of groceries, and he would turn off my credit and debit card. So I'd be like in the store with groceries, with my kids, and no way to pay for them. Or he would send me to the store to get them a treat. Like, we would go get a treat, and he would turn it off. And then when I would get home, he'd be like, well, I'll take you because I'm the better parent. And also physical abuse. And there's a statistic out there that says it takes a woman 7 times to leave a spouse that's abusive. And I completely understand that statistic, because it's so easy just to make excuses. Like, but he's a good dad. He doesn't hit them. Like, he's a good dad. He doesn't yell at them. But just kind of a crappy human being. And so that went on for 3 or 4 years. And he was military too. And so I said, I'm gonna join the military. This is gonna be great for us. We're gonna be dual military. We're gonna make all the money. Everything's gonna be better. I'm gonna have my own money. And he agreed. So our youngest went to my parents because he could only take care of one child. And so my oldest went to my parents, and he took care of our baby at the time. And from the very first second that I got to Fort Leonard Wood, I loved it. I fell in love with the Army. I fell in love with the people. I was getting yelled at home, and like drill sergeants were yelling at me there. So like, it wasn't really any different, right? It was a hard experience, but it was amazing. I was a 35 November, so military intelligence. And then I went to San Angelo, Texas, where I did AIT. And then after AIT, I went to Fort Huachuca for some specialized training. And after that, he PCS'd to Schofield Barracks. I PCS'd to Schofield Barracks to the 715th Military Intelligence Battalion that's there. And again, like, I absolutely loved it. And I feel like the crappier things got at home, like the better they were at work. I got Soldier of the Quarter, NCO of the Quarter, and then I ended up getting NCO of the Year. And my command asked me if I would consider joining a CST or FET, Culture Support Team, Female Engagement Team. But the downside is you're gonna have to deploy like ASAP. And I was like, oh no, I get to leave. He's a good dad, crappy husband, but like, we're better apart, so I'll deploy. That's cool. And then I found out that we were pregnant with Bentley, who is our baby. And I am 21 at this time. So 3 kids, 21, in the military. We have Bentley, and I leave when Bentley's 6 weeks old for CST training. And it was difficult, and I had a baby at home, but like, I wanted to show my kids that there's more to life than just just nothing, I guess. And so for those of you who don't know what a CST is, it's a group that the military brought on board to integrate with the local women in the community. So it was our job to learn the culture, to learn local customs, enough language to kind of get us in trouble. And then we also had to learn patrols and room clearing and high threat environments. Basically, if stuff hit the fan, it was our job to make sure that we could take care of ourselves. And so I finished training, and it was time for my first deployment. And my first day arriving in Afghanistan was June 10th, 2013, I believe. And our FOB got blown up. And we had just landed, so we were still on the runway. And you can, I tried to Google it last night, I was gonna play a video. You can watch it get blown up in real time, it's insane. We weren't hurt. We got off of the airplane and we went in the talk and they said, hey, we know you guys are intel, it's your job to figure out who did this. And so I don't have this in my notes, but I'm gonna tell a real quick story. So being intel and a female in combat, I feel like we had to prove ourselves a little bit. And so I was like, this is what I was trained for, I can do this. And I found the guy through the ways that we do it. And I was like, it's this guy right here, and his name's whatever his name is. And the brigade commander was like, he speaks English, we can't go arrest him. And I was like, no, it's him, like, I know it's him, please just trust me. Like, the guy's like, no, you can't even go interrogate him because he speaks English. And I was like, that's the threshold here, like, if they only knew that, like, they could just all learn English. And so my second week in Afghanistan, we did go out and we did interrogate him and his family, and he spoke English, but he was a real bad guy. And whenever we went out on patrol, first of all, the first couple of times we were on patrol, somebody asked me if in the picture on my little thing, what I did, and I was like, mainly they told me just to stay in the back and shut up. Like, don't get out of the vehicle, I don't know what to do with you, you're a girl. Cool. And so it took a couple of patrols to sort of prove ourselves, like, we trained with you guys. Like, we know what we're doing, so please just let us do our job. And it was the second or third week that I was in Afghanistan, and I went to pat down this group of ladies before we questioned them. And like, this lady just seemed off. She was a pretty big lady, and she was in her Afghanistan like garb. And I went to pat her down, and I went between her legs, like, to pat her down and make sure she didn't have any weapons. And there was a whole ass guy under her gown. Punched me, like, uppercut me in the face. Luckily, my team handled him very, very quickly. He was detained. My husband's laughing. And so that was my, wow, like, this is real. Like, we're in combat. This is us versus them. It's not all fun and games. It's not all fun. Yeah, so that was a pretty quiet deployment. After that, we did a ton of patrols. We got to know the local women. We gained their trust. And while we were over there, there were two types of women, and it was never in between. There were women who were tired of their husband's crap, because they might have been a third or fourth wife, and they were willing to give their husbands up immediately. And there were, like, ride or die women who would not talk to us no matter what we were offering. And so that's just a cultural thing. So I came back from that deployment, and at that time, my husband told me that he can't take care of 3 kids. He had since gotten out of the military to take care of them. He couldn't take care of them, and so Logan went to live with my parents. I went back for another deployment. Pretty quiet deployments, typical patrols, typical team building. I think that's my team. Sorry, yeah. Typical team, like, amazing experience. On my last deployment, we were on a patrol near the Pakistan border, and our vehicle got hit by an IED. And the only thing I remember is waking up in Germany. And until this point, I had straight up lied to my parents. Like, I'm not leaving the FOB. Like, I'm not doing anything dangerous. I would never put myself in jeopardy. Like, I have kids. And when I called my mom and I was like, can you come to Germany? She was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, the only way you go to Germany is if you're hurt, but you don't do anything dangerous. So what are you talking about? And so that was 8.5 years in. And the military gave me the choice to medically retire, kind of gave me a choice. And I decided that it was time to get out. My kids were growing up. After I got blown up, I didn't want them to not have a mom. But I had some serious PTSD. I remember the first time I came home, I couldn't sleep. And I was staying with a group of people because, we'll get to that in a second, but I had serious PTSD, and the only way that I could sleep is if the people that I was living with were playing Call of Duty. Like, that's the only time I could sleep. And so I got some intensive PTSD therapy. I wish that F.I.S.H. or Warriors Ascent would have existed when I got out. But I did the PTSD therapy where you write down what happened to you and then you read it out loud. And then you do it again, and then you do it again until like you don't cry or you don't have like emotional reactions to it. It is insane that it works. But that's what I did. So I came home from Afghanistan divorced. So in the middle of my last deployment, my husband told me that he couldn't do this anymore, and that he was going to leave, and he filed for full custody of our kids. Because he was already out of the military, he could provide them with stability that I couldn't, because I still had like a 1.5 years in while I was waiting on my military retirement paperwork to come through. And so luckily Logan was old enough to choose who he lived with, and he wanted to stay with me. And I remember a conversation with him, and he said, Mom, you've missed 5 first days of school and like 6 first something else. Can we not do that anymore? And I was like, you know what, buddy, like, no, we're not gonna do that anymore. So I applied to some civilian jobs in DC, and I got picked up at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency as a watch floor analyst. And so I did that for a number of years. I had some JDAs, one to the Presidential Daily Briefer team at CIA, and then one to the St. Louis watch floor. But I was tired of working night shift. At that time, I had been divorced for a number of years from my kid's dad. We shared custody. We'd been back to court several times for custody. We have 50-50 custody. We share our kids. And I met my husband. And part of the abuse was you're never going to meet anybody that's going to love you with kids. You're never going to meet anybody who's going to support you with kids. Like, I'm the best that you're ever going to get. My husband now, John, is amazing. My very, very, very best friend and adventure partner. Yeah, and so we met in 2018, and in 2019, I accepted a job at the Pentagon on the Army staff with Army G357, and so if you know what that is, we do perception management for adversarial countries, and we help soldiers on the ground. It was my absolute favorite job, probably my dream job. But then in 2020, my mom called me and said, hey, we're getting older. We need you to move closer to home. And I was like, well, there's no intel jobs closer to home. Like, what's Honeywell? First of all, and second of all, like, I don't even want to move. I'll put in for it. And it had to have just been a God thing, because my boss called me and interviewed and offered me the job the same day. And so I moved John to the middle of nowhere, Missouri. And we got off the plane, and he was like, where are all the hills? Sorry. Yeah. And so I have been at Honeywell since 2021. And I said that we'd been back to court for custody several times. We have our kids 50-50 now. I'm in the right spot. I said it was a God thing. The year after we moved here, my mom got really sick. And then a year after that, she passed away. And a year after that, my dad passed away. And so I felt like God just took me out of the Beltway, out of the craziness. Like I got to talk to my parents once a week, to getting to be there with them in their last days. So that's my story, guys. I went from a crazy, scared, pregnant 18-year-old to who I am today, with a lot of bumps through the way. And through it all, I learned to fight for my family, to show up for my kids, and keep moving forward. I guess today, I should mention where my kids are today. I have a 21-year-old. He's a junior at Texas A&M, living his very best life. And we have a senior in high school who's going to go to tech school next year, and then a freshman in high school who doesn't really know what he wants to do. So that's my family. Do you guys have any questions?
First off, if you have a question, please raise your hand and I'll bring you a microphone so we can all hear it, and I'm deaf.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hey.
So, whenever you got back from deployment, you told me the Call of Duty story.
Yeah.
And that's not the first time I've heard that from someone else. So, would you mind sharing that one again?
So when you're in Afghanistan, you are in a tent, or ours were just like the trailers that you see on the side of the road. And so you can hear everything. And we were right by the flight line, so we heard helicopters landing and taking off at all hours of the day. And then whenever you leave the FOB to go out on patrol, just as a standard practice, your gunner shoots the 50 cal out of the side over to the hill, just as like a warning, like kind of don't mess with us. And that was right by my room. And so all I heard day in and day out was like Call of Duty noises, but in real life. And so when I got home, it was days. And my friend's husband started playing Call of Duty, and I was like out immediately. And I was like, I probably need help. So yeah, but that's what that is.
So Lindsay, I really admire your transparency and your willingness to share your story. I mean, here you are, a frightened 18-year-old not knowing what to do, doing what someone, you know, my ex tried to do the same thing, and thank God she didn't, because we have an amazing 38-year-old that's thriving, and she's got an incredible son. And here the scared 18-year-old girl later goes on to get your PhD, as I understand, right? So
Yeah.
it's Dr. Lindsay.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So I talked about my dad's only rule was that I finished college. I finished my bachelor's degree before I joined the military. I still went enlisted for no good reason. I just didn't know. I went to the wrong recruiter. I don't know. But I went enlisted. And then whenever I was waiting on my military paperwork to go through to get out, I got my master's degree. And then I started my PhD when I worked at the NGA and then at the Pentagon, and I finished it like as soon as I got here. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Thanks. Oh,
Hey. Lindsay, thank you for your service, first of all. And I would just like to say that you're a testimony of encouragement to those of us who've given to maternity homes for all of these years and are pro-life. Thank you for your service.
Thanks. Any others? Probably somewhere. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Wow. I know that was really moving for me, Lindsay. I mean, so much of that up there it really kind of set me back because so many times we hear stories and it's everything. It's like, it might be battlefield this,